We have never given Ojukwu's position any importance, and I don't want to waste my time on Ojukwu or what Ojukwu stands for, etc. Shall we forget about Ojukwu? His conscience will be taking him wherever he goes, and I doubt if Ojukwu would be able to enjoy the rest of his life on this earth after what he has done, and whoever has given him the moral or material support to do what to carry out what he did. However, as far as I'm concerned, as I've always said, we did not hurt anyone, and we tried not to hurt anyone whatsoever. Those who hurt us, it is for them to be able to re-examine themselves to ensure that their new spirit towards us is true and sincere, and it is truly meaningful. Let them therefore, as I said, for them to be able to examine themselves and to ensure that their new attitude towards Nigeria is really a true and a correct one.
Gowon is being irresponsible by saying the war was for unity. He is being irresponsible for not taking responsibility for the war. I remind everyone that Ikemba we declared Biafra, the last hope for the survival and safety of Igbos at that time. Because right from 1960, 4, 5, 6, Igbos were being killed everywhere. They said a kind of vengeance for the T-I0N coup. And we know that the T-I0N coup was not an Igbo coup. Even in his latest book, General IBB said it. And I know that there were more Yorubas in that coup than Igbos. You understand? And now they began to kill us. In the police barracks, in the naval barracks, army barracks, everywhere on the streets.
Even in Keja cantonment.
Ojukwu, as the leader of his people, had no choice. After meeting, calling for Eastern Elders meeting, deliberating with them. What shall we do? How do we keep our people safe? It was Chief Frank Opijo from Bayelsa that came up with the name Biafra, because there has been bite of Biafra since 1503. You understand? And the man suggested, let's give the new nation that Ojukwu wanted to declare Biafra. And after that consensus, Ojukwu declared the entire East Biafran Republic so that he could keep his people safe. Gowon declared war against Ojukwu and his people. And mind you, there had been a meeting at Accra, Ghana, the Aburi Accord. At that meeting, peace was being sought for by Southern African leaders. And a decision, an agreement was reached. Gowon and Ojukwu go back home. Let there be a regional freedom. You understand? East be free, West be free, North be free. Control your resources, control your life, and be independent, even in one country. You understand? Gowon signed, Ojukwu signed. And when they came back to Nigeria, an advisor who happened to be the Oba of Benin, who happened to be the secretary of the civil service, who was in attendance in Ghana for the Aburi Accord, unfortunately, advised Gowon against it. Gowon betrayed the Aburi Accord. Ikemba had no other choice than to declare Biafra. Gowon declared war. You understand? So people should understand that Ikemba did not declare war.
Yeah,
I've heard people say that Ojukwu declared war.
Gowon accepted why he declared war.
Good. So he declared war, and now he is saying the war was for peace.
For unity.
For unity. Unity of where? You covered a section of the country for massacre, for a pogrom. For God's sake, it is God who said I will leave. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm still alive now. I had a terrible kwashoko as a child. I was 4 years old when the war broke out. My younger sister Shinwe had kwashoko. My younger brother Benjamin had kwashoko. My mother was taken off from here to there. I remember at Odata Hospital here, several times Nigerian fighter jets bombed us. How could you were fighting for the unity of the country and you want to destroy even children, innocent children, in a hospital where they were being treated kwashoko? How can you say it is for the unity of the country? Absolutely no unity interest was there. It was an annihilation intention. Over 10 million children died of kwashoko. At the end of the war, there was a 3R. Reconstruction, reintegration, and one other R. And none of them has been implemented since the end of the war. Now you said it is for unity. Sir, from vinyl, I saw a video in 1969 when the war had, when they couldn't defeat us, even with the support of 12 countries. Britain, who had intent of subduing us that they may control our oil, set out a team of military hardware to come and annihilate Biafrans. As God may have it, our wise leader from Cote d'Ivoire told P0NSIB, his second in command, to surrender, that there may be a remnant of Igbo people. When the war ended, if Gowon said he fought for the unity of this country, Igbo men, houses all over the country were declared abandoned property. Our houses were taken from us. Igbos had monies in the banks, pounds, you know, because we were using pounds here then. Now, whether you had 100,000 pounds, whether you had 50,000 pounds, whether you had a million pounds, you were given 20 pounds. People who were just coming out of a pogrom, who were just coming out of disease, pain, and kwashoko, you seized all their money and gave them 20 pounds that they may die of hunger and never go to school. But thank God, as God may have it, onye nkuzi emego about turn. Ndị bụ ụzọ ekpere go azụ, ndị kpa azụ ebutego ụzọ. You can't kill the Jew because his God is strong. God had intention to bless the world with Jews, the seeds of Abraham, which we Igbos are. And so there's nothing anybody can do to quell, to conquer, to subvert, to defeat the vision that God has for the world with Igbos. They tried to do that. The one tried to do that, but he failed. And now he and his people are paid. Is he not from Plateau State? The governor of Plateau State cried out the other day that Boko Haram has taken 64 communities in Plateau State. While he lives, his own people are being killed. By the same people he brought to kill Igbos.
Just as Ojukwu told him that under his watch, he will live to see his people slaughtered, become refugees. Prophecy fulfilled.
That is the consequence of doing wrong. See, God told me, he said, whenever you refuse to do the right thing, the wrong thing will inevitably happen. Why? Life hates vacuum. So Gowon refused to do the right thing, and the wrong thing is happening to him and his people now. But at this age, instead of him taking responsibility and being really sorry and pleading for forgiveness, he is lying. A man of his age that is closer to his grave, instead of making his way pure, that he might maybe have forgiveness with God, is lying. Is increasing his offense, his sin, and making his going to hellfire much more possible. It is very wrong of him, very wicked of him. Everything he did as far as that war is concerned is pure wickedness. And it's just a pity that the same wickedness is still being perpetuated against Igbo still today. Oil is being taken there to develop Lagos, to develop Abuja. But that place is being left in shambles. Federal government of Nigeria does not have one solid investment in the east. Tell me how many houses Yorubas have in the east. Tell me how many houses Hausas have in the east. But in Lagos, Abuja, everywhere we control it. Deputy Secretary, Assistant Secretary of Arewa Constitutive Forum once said that in Jos and 3 other northern states, that Igbos have over 45 trillion naira worth of investments. Only in 3. Now, you have nothing in our place, but we have what we have. We use what we have to develop your place, and yet you don't want to leave us alone. You don't like us. It is too bad.
After surviving the program.
After surviving the program. Till today, it is still evident that Nigeria is an unworkable idea. The amalgamation of 1914 remains the worst thing, the worst evil that has happened to us. Because before Britain came here, we were living together. The East was independent, the West was independent, the North was independent. We were having business relationship, bilateral relationship among ourselves. And we had peace and there was no trouble. But right from the day they amalgamated us together in order to have access to oil, this problem began. There is no way you will give an underage girl out in marriage with that girl not having problem in that marriage, because that is not our choice. You have infringed on her fundamental right. Zik said this amalgamation cannot work. Awolowo said the same thing. Tafawa Balewa said the same thing. And like prophets, what they said is still happening today. It can't just work. So the best thing for us is break up or practice regional government. That's the same thing that Ojukwu and Gowon agreed in Aburi. That the regions may have their independence, even while we are in one country. Control their resources, 3%, a little percent to the center for the maintenance of the federal structure. Or practice 100% true federalism, wherein states control their resources. And pay little percent to the center. Look at the center. There's so much money at the center. For goodness sake, you go around the nation, you take what belongs to the people from their villages. Look at what is happening in South. They live in water area. And they're mostly fishermen. And you have destroyed their water with crude. Yet, you are doing nothing for them. And you establish NDDC. And you think you've done the best. And that NDDC is rocking in corruption. Which the political system that we have here is a generator that generates corruption. And can only generate corruption. Because as it stands, Nigeria is no man's business. Anyone who gets to the top steals and gets away with it. Imagine how much Buhari collected as loan. Tinubu has continued to collect loans. Over 200 trillion loan debt is being put on the neck of the future generations of this nation. Why? So until we do the right thing in this country, the wrong thing will continue to happen.